Welcome to a new market update in which we're going to discuss the fact that Bitcoin has been rejecting 42k but is attacking it again. So we're going to look at the price action as we have been making this scenario, and we have been defining levels that you should be looking at if you want to trade Bitcoin and which ones we should be holding if we want to have continuation. We've also been discussing the dollar, which has been showing weakness, and that's why the markets are pushing right now. Before we're going to continue, make sure to subscribe beneath, like this YouTube update, check out my Twitter and Instagram where you can find daily content on the markets and also my personal life. Yesterday I've been to the Skill meetup in the W in Amsterdam, and after that I went to the Supper Club where Trinity was hosting an event. My ears are still like buzzing from the bass that we were hearing yesterday at that club. But we had a good time, and tonight I'll be at the Anchor X Polygon meetup in Amsterdam. It's going to be fun. If you want to be around or if you want to meet up, please send me a message on Twitter, on Instagram, and we can catch up at that event. So now, what we are looking at with the price action of Bitcoin and with the price action of the dollar and the altcoins is that Bitcoin is showing strength. I think that we're going to discover that we're currently making higher lows, higher highs, and that the continuation is most likely going to be upwards if we break a crucial level. Next to that, we have seen that the bearish divergence on the dollar is being applied at this point. So if the dollar remains calm or starts to consolidate or correct, it is very likely that the markets of crypto and the indices are going to do well, except for Netflix. Now, if we are looking at the altcoins, we have also been stating that the altcoins had some crucial levels. They have been running heavily in March, then the correction started to happen, and some crucial levels were defined. And we have been covering that for Zilliqa, and I will be explaining in this update why I'm looking for longs for those projects at those levels and why I'm looking for that specific block instead of higher levels that we should be trading. Now, what can we expect from the markets even more? I think that we are having a lot of upwards potential here. I think that based on on-chain analysis, which we're going to cover during the weekend, we are going to see continuation happening here. As the signals and the indicators are showing that we are at all-time lows with certain of those variables, meaning that the bitcoins are not being moved at this point and that the overall demand is starting to grow too. And if you can look at the fundamental growth of the markets, it will be catching up, or the price will be catching up with that fundamental growth. So that's what we're going to look at in this update. We're going to cover the price action of Bitcoin on a lower and higher time frame, and we're going to cover the levels where I think that this run is going to go to. So let's end off this introduction and get towards the charts. So in this case, when we're looking at the price action, we have been making this scenario, right? So we have been making a scenario where you want to see it hold above the range high, which in this case was 40.4k. It was definitely holding here, and we started to continue moving, in which we have marked this entire block at 42.3 as a very important breaker, which we ran to, and then we started to reject, as this is the first level to look at in terms of potential rejections or corrections to be happening. We started to drop down, in which we took out the lows here at 41.2, and we had a bounce from this block around 41, resulting into another test of the range high. So the scenario that we have been making, in which we want to retest or we want to test 42k before we get continuation, is actually happening at this point. In that case, we can continue grinding. I think that we are currently into a block that is very important to look at, but when we're looking at the lower time frames, we could continue this momentum all the way towards 43k and then have some sort of sideways action in which we act between 41.8 to 43.3k. As long as we hold above 41.9, I think the continuation is likely going to happen here, and especially if we are looking at the daily time frame. I actually have to go towards another chart. If we are looking at the daily time frame, it shows us the crucial breaker. What it shows us on the higher time frame is that we are creating higher highs, right? We have been making a higher high and we are making higher lows here. Plus, we were holding a crucial level for support, resulting into continuation which is likely going to happen here, is when we were losing the level around 38k, the chances are that we were going to fade or going to drop heavily south. At this point we are not, so this entire daily block that we have here, that we're currently fighting, which is around or all the way towards 42.8, that is the crucial breaker. If this one breaks, and when then you're looking at the daily time frame, we can look at the same picture as what we have been doing previously. So we had a resistance here, some sort of consolidation, which most likely is going to happen here as well. Sideways consolidation, not a heavy correction, because if we just have a sideways consolidation, it's a push for continuation on the markets. And when it starts to break, or when it breaks through this block, the next entire area that we should be looking at is this entire region that we have here, which is around 46k, but most likely we're going to break through there and create ourselves a new higher high, and then I start to attack or look at the level around 51k and potentially even the level around 57k as the next zones that we should be looking at. If we use the Fibonacci extension, we can get towards 454. So this entire region is something that I'll be looking at combined with the price action and the dollar at that point of where we're going to correct. But I think that the odds of continuation are increasing, especially since the dollar is currently rejecting and dropping down, which is basically suiting the indices and also crypto. We are seeing a bearish divergence here, which was beautifully confirmed by this breakdown at the level of 100.6. As we can see, we started dropping down, took out all those lows, bounced back up, rejected at the previous resistance, and continued to fall south, in which the level to watch right now is the level around 100.2. And potentially the level around 100.4 again, and the only support level that we should be looking at is this one around 99.6. If that one is not going to confirm for support, I think that we're going to drop all the way back towards the range that it used to be acting in previously, but nonetheless it is helping the markets of Bitcoin. Looking at Zilliqa, I've been stating this chart before. We had a big run up, and the entire region that I want to be looking at it long is this entire block that we have here, right? So that was the only level that I would be looking at for longs at this stage, and I've been stating that on Twitter and YouTube, and it gave a 33% run at this point. Looking at the lower time frames, it's a little bit tricky of getting into an entry zone right now. We can definitely confirm that we have been taking out these highs here. So we have been starting to reverse the trend. So the first block for the scalp is the one around 12.1 cents. But overall, I think that you should be looking at a higher low beneath this level, just like Bitcoin has been doing. And then you should be looking at 11.2 for continuation. And then the targets are clear. Overall conclusion is that if you want to get into a position like Zilliqa, I think you should be looking at higher time frames to create yourself into those positions. So, conclusion, I think that Bitcoin is going to continue moving as the dollar is showing weakness. Tomorrow I'll be covering something about altcoins in general, and also during the weekend I'll be providing a few updates. Subscribe if you need, don't do stupid shit, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again tomorrow.